Good afternoon, Fit Fam, and other people who may be watching. This is Stefan, and coming up today, we will be talking about how you can get past that plateau. I have been approached, and I have met many people who have, expressed like, "Hey, man, I've been going to the gym for a while. I've been making gains, but recently I've hit a bump in the road. I've hit that wall. I cannot progress any further." And this happens, for a couple of reasons. The main thing that I have seen is the majority of people approach training and even life through a very simplified perspective. They only dive in from the surface level. They only stay in the kiddie side of the pool. They never go to the deeper waters. And when you really want to see, those gains, and you really want to continue to see advancement, you have to go deeper and deeper. So analogy I use with a lot of my clients and a lot of people I try to help is the difference between chess and checkers. A lot of people and a lot of gym bros or gym rats, they'll approach training from a checkers perspective, meaning, hey, I'm gonna go to the gym, I'm gonna do these movements, and I'll come home and then I'll just repeat that. There's no deep dive into the nutrition. There's no deep dive into the recovery. There's no deep dive into kind of the social and their physiological and their mental training as well. They just see, the gym as, the end all be all. They don't see everything else tying into that. But I tell people, what you want to approach training from the perspective of chess. Chess is a more multi-dimensional game than checkers. And so what I begin to tell some of my clients is you want to begin to play chess with your body. And so what this will look like in the gym is, some people, when they want to see, I will use adding numbers to your squat, for example. And so let's say you just want to get as strong as you can. And so every single week, you'll add 5 pounds to the bar. And so you do that for a number of weeks until, man, you can't add 5 pounds to the bar. It becomes too much weight. And so if someone is approaching that problem from the checkers perspective, they'll just keep doing that same way until maybe they'll see progress, or they'll continue to just add weight, slowly. But if you're playing chess, you can move, a pawn forward, but you can move, the knight in that L degree fashion. You can move the bishop diagonally across the board, or you might have the king that can go in any direction, or you might have the queen that can go in one space in any direction. You want to use your body in that same manner when you're training. So let's say you've hit that plateau with adding weight to the squat bar. Okay, instead of I'm gonna add more weight to the bar, let me take a deload. Let me, instead of trying to continually test my max, let me take half the weight off and focus on my form. All right, maybe I've been doing squat pattern too much. Let me give my body a break from that squat pattern and let me do another squat pattern. Let me squat with a kettlebell. Let me do some body weight squats. Let me go do some work on my quads, work on my hamstrings, work on, the stabilizers. Let me work on other types of training. Let me work on, power training, more, speed, speed strength, things along those lines. Because then when you go back to that squat bar, now you're coming from a different perspective. Now you're like, okay, cool. Like maybe, now maybe I can add, 5 pounds to the bar now, not because I'm just trying to test my max, but because now I'm utilizing other things to help aid me as well. It's also comes a lot of times when I see people do the squat, they think that squatting is just a lower body exercise. Mm-mm. Squatting, in every single movement you do, is a full body exercise. You use the entire body to aid you. And that's just one thing, one small thing, and one small change in your approach to kind of attacking that plateau will aid you drastically going forward. Another thing you want to do when you are confronted with a plateau is you want data. Data gives you the keys to identify problems from which you can come up with solutions. So, for example, let's say you've been squatting, and we'll stay with the squat analogy so you can have the same frame of reference. Let's say you've been squatting for a couple months, and you have the data of you adding 5 pounds per week, and then you hit that plateau, and you've been squatting for like a week or two, and you cannot progress no matter what you do. So now I want you to begin to take data, but not just from the squatting, but from every single thing else you've been doing. So, for example, let's say you've been warming up on the bike for 5 minutes. Okay, on the days where you can't progress, are you warming up differently? How are you adding weight to the bar? Are you adding weight to the bar in the same progression? Are you doing one plate and then 2 plates, or are you incrementally going up by 5 pounds to hit your max? One of the things, and I'll use this, from my personal experience. One of the things I learned when I was squatting is that because I have a very small frame, and so for me, when I get to heavy loads, it takes a lot of energy for me to, move that kind of weight. So what I realized was I need to get to my top set as fast as possible, because I don't have the energy reserve as some of the more bigger guys. So instead of me, sitting here and going 5 pounds up, man, I can't. Every single set is like, I'll use a bank analogy, man. In let's say, you have energy in this bank vault, right? And every time you do a set, you're taking, you're taking money out of the bank. So, let's say you do 5 sets. That's five withdrawals. You might not have that much money left when you go for that top set. So essentially, for me, what I realized was, man, I want as much money in that bank for my top set so I can cash out as much as possible when it's time for me to cash out. Imagine you go for that top set and you only got like $5 in the bank. Whereas in another place you might have, $250,000. So it's a way different approach. But every person's unique, so that's what works for me. But you have to figure out what works for you and your unique body. And this is why I tell people to play chess. So that works for me, that's kind of my game. But you have to develop your game. Okay, for you, maybe it takes your body a little bit longer to warm up. So you taking those incremental, more sets helps you out a little bit more and warms your body up. Whereas for someone else, taking all those sets might withdraw the energy a little bit. So I just wanted to come on here and kind of explain how you should approach your plateau and how you should really begin to approach your training. Don't play checkers. Don't just place one piece in front of the other. Don't just add weight to the bar. Don't just view it from, I'm just using my legs and I'm not using my entire body. Begin to play chess. Training is a multi-dimensional facet when you truly do it at its highest level. Begin to take data, begin to use different things to help aid you. If you found this of value, click like, click subscribe. If you need any more information to help you with your training, please check out the rest of my YouTube channel. You can also check out my Instagram at Stefan Boating, or my TikTok, which is exactly the exact same name. If you need any more in-depth help, I do online coaching, and I do offer programs online as well. You guys enjoy the rest of your Sunday.